to the president's oath of office, and we still use that today. He was embarrassed about his teeth, we all know that story, and he swore into the presidency with only one tooth left. He had several dentures which were bulky and burdensome, and no doubt very uncomfortable. Historians believe that his teeth or lack of made him more introverted than he might have been. I can't see him being an introverted man, but evidently he was. My favorite quote of George Washington is, "'Tis better to be alone than in bad company." And one last thought, he did not chop down that cherry tree. All right, next report, President General Laurie.
President General, today's meeting yours was for the February sunshine statement. I've condensed it just a little bit here. Are you ready to honor your essay winners? Have you made plans to engage in 2022 public events that will promote the DAR and your chapter? Are you making ready to encourage sunshine gardens and waterway cleanups once the weather breaks? Now is the time to be the February sunshine, to help those important committee objectives take root and blossom in the months to come. I'm excited to share that several of our executives are planning to join me on a visit to Spain this month to conduct a Unix Overseas Conference in Madrid with representatives of the chapters located outside of the U.S. In addition, we plan to dedicate 2 historic markers. One to honor the hometown of Bernardo de Galvez in 1746. A second will recognize Spanish support for the American Revolution and honor the Spanish who responded to King Carlos III's request for donations to fund the war for American independence. A DAR delegation of 12 members will move on to Hungary, where they will dedicate a plaque to honor the Korzar birthplace of Michael Kovács, the Hungarian hussar who is considered to be the father of the U.S. cavalry in 1777. After learning about the American Revolution, he offered his sword to the American ambassador in France, Benjamin Franklin. He closed the letter that has since become quite famous. I have no wish greater than to leave forthwith, to be where I am needed most, to serve and die in everlasting obedience to your excellency and the Congress, most faithful unto death, Michael Kovács. It was a pledge that he regretfully fulfilled as Kovács was killed in action at the Battle of Charleston on May 11th of '79. Finally, I'm very proud of the way our administration has emphasized raising awareness of the men and women who have achieved American independence. I hope that you are taking an active, engaging approach to this important work. I especially hope that you will pause with me on February 22nd to mark the birth of the father of our nation, George Washington. Rise and shine for America and for our patriot ancestors through commemorations and active community service.
Thank you, Laurie. American Indian, Kim?
And on July 30th of 21, the U.S. Postal Service honors the Raven story with a new stamp. They released the Raven Story stamp, which was designed to depict a raven just as he escapes from his human family and begins to transform back into his bird form. The raven plays an essential role in many traditional tales, including stories about the creation of the world. The stamp is inspired by the traditional story of the raven setting the sun, moon, and stars free.
Thank you. Linda Caldwell will give us the national gender report.
On the third Monday in February, the United States celebrates the federal holiday known as President's Day. The day takes place during the birth month of the country's 2 most prominent presidents, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. President's Day originated in the 1880s when George Washington's birthday on February 22nd was celebrated as a federal holiday. In 1968, Congress Congress passed the Uniform Monday holiday bill, The bill moves several federal holidays to Mondays, creating 3-day weekends. During the debate on the bill, one proposal suggested George Washington's birthday be renamed President's Day to honor the birthdays of both George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Although Abraham Lincoln's birthday was celebrated in many states, it was never an official holiday. Following much discussion, Congress rejected the name change. Despite the rejection, soon after the bill went into effect in 1971, and the observance of Washington's birthday shifted to the third Monday in February. President's Day gradually became the commonly accepted name. Over time, the observance came to be known to many as a day to honor both Washington and Lincoln. However, today, another shift has occurred, and many see the day as a celebration of all the U.S. presidents.
Thank you. The treasury report is going to be given by Kim.
The beginning balance was $6,940.67. Expenditures was $1,227. Deposit $686, and the ending balance is $6,399.67.
Thank you. Our treasurer is not feeling well today. I got an email from her and she told me that Kim would be giving that report. So thank you. Registrar, Susan.
Second. I want to zoom in on my friend Clara over here. And instead of going right into the registrar's report, let me introduce to you Clara. Now Clara, you might ask, how did she do it? Well, Lori Mortelli and I got excited about this project, and I got to give Lori a lot of credit, so much credit. She has made almost all of the underpinnings for what Clara is wearing, including the shift, this sexy little bum roll, the fichu, and the apron. And the goal is, I'm going to be taking Clara on the road. And I come to you with a plea. I've got the Battle of Aiken coming up this Saturday, and I'm going to be going solo. So if anybody would like to join with me to be at the Battle of Aiken, now you might ask, why are we going to be at the Battle of Aiken? Because that's a Civil War reenactment, and we know that. We're going to be in the military timeline with the other big boys from all the other times in history of America's history in the military. We will be undressing and dressing Clara in public to show off all the many layers that she wears. She has got not only this very bottom layer, which was the shift, which is like a nightgown, and she's got this fancy little bum roll to make her buttocks look a little bit bigger, because women, no matter what, have always been trying, have tried to look pleasing, and this was something, I guess, that has always been pleasing. Some of us are just more blessed and we're afraid of it, so. And then underneath that, and it's very nicely hidden with this fichu, is, well, I'll show you a bra, is really what I'm getting down to, but it goes all the way, this whole area was created with whale bones to keep everything in position. It also provided a good base to support the weight of what she's got underneath her, which is a underskirt, which you can see here is a little bit different accent color, forerunner to the petticoat. Underneath that, she's also got a tied-on pocket. So they would have pockets in their clothing, but it was something that was actually just a bag made out of fabric that was tied around her waist. And then she has this overskirt. Then she's got the apron. Now, I have ordered an item from Etsy. It's on its way. This little vest here, a lot of times we think of as Revolutionary War. It was that era, but it was typically worn by the French. It's kind of a French style. The short gown that Clara will be wearing is actually like a long jacket. And they didn't have buttons, so they would literally pin them with straight pins on. And of course she's got her little bonnet. Now this is a working woman. She's still wore all this. When I'm saying working woman, she's the one out on the farm collecting, you know, the eggs and all that, which was the necessity of having such an apron, so that she could collect firewood, herbs, whatever it was that she was collecting would easily fit into her apron. So, we're gonna be at the Battle of Aiken on Saturday. I could really use some help. We're also going to be at the Aiken High School on March 18th. The Henry Lawrence chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution have put together quite an event. I am so excited and proud of them. Believe it or not, they've been able to pull off putting together a reenactment at high school. That's a big deal, yeah. I've heard the word black powder. I don't know, I'm not part of that, but I mean, I've heard that they are gonna be shooting off some, which is amazing at a school. You know, so there'll be lots of activities there. I encourage you, I invite you to attend, to show up, to volunteer, embrace in whatever fashion your schedule and your interest drives you. Which leads me to this little calendar of events here. And that's exactly what I would say about everything on here. Those two events that I just spoke about are on this list. Mary's gonna be speaking about a couple of them. She's been putting an awful lot of hard work in on. There's a couple of outside of this group meetings, like the chapter, or I mean the district meeting, also the state meeting. In parentheses behind the title of whatever the activity is a person's name, and that's who you should contact if you have further questions. There's something for everybody, you guys. This is a very diverse group that we've got going on. One of the things that you'll also find out here is the yard sale. It's gonna be on April 16th at my house. And the first 2 weeks of April, I will be going around and picking up things. If you wanna give me a call, I'll put you on the schedule. Or you can bring them by my place, just let me know when. I'll make sure somebody's there to pick them up. So, that's pretty much it for, so I'm talking about the membership committee actually at this point, I hope you don't mind. We also have got a call list, and we've got a room on that call list committee if anybody would like to be a call list leader. What this means is that you make phone calls to about 8 different members within the chapter. You just keep base with them. It's about building relationships. Of course, it always helps to let them know, the reason I'm calling is we've got a meeting. The reason I'm calling is because we've got a meeting coming up, or, you know, but Mary, even bless her heart, she sends out birthday cards and stuff like that to her call list. So, you know, there's room for more leaders on that list. If you're interested, let me know. Okay, now, on to the registrar's report. We've got 2 members that, sisters. The reason I'm looking at Connie is Connie joined us in 2018, and she brought her 3 daughters with her when she joined. And she's got 2 of them that are transferring to the Cameron Perry chapter in Virginia. And I'm thrilled. I hate to ever lose a member, but hopefully they're gonna be closer to a DAR chapter where they can become more involved.
And they're going to be pages of something there.
That's
What is
wonderful.
the conflict of the convention? Is that what's coming up?
There's, a lot of times there's state conferences, and then there's the national convention.
What is the national?
Continental Congress.
Yeah, anyway, they're going to be pages, so they're jumping in.
That is so cool, Connie. So we've got 2 transferring out, but I couldn't be happier, especially knowing me. Yeah. We currently have 11 prospective members on our list. That is a lot. That's 5 more than the last time we met. Okay, that's great. Well, I haven't done it. What's going on is you are going out and you're talking to people and you're saying, would you like our registrar to contact you? I don't mind, I appreciate that. They never respond. And that's the problem we've got. Right now we've got 5 that I have not been able to get any response. That's up 2 from last month, or last meeting. So what I would like to start doing when I contact these people that you are providing me as prospective members, which please continue to do that, I'm going to copy you on that email. And that way you'll have an opportunity to interact with them probably more than I will, since they're not responding to me, and, you know, say, hey, did you get that email from Susan? Or find out maybe if there's a better way to contact them. Robin gave me one, and I wouldn't, she said it's better to call her. So I did, and I got the Lutheran Hospital. And the Lutheran Hospital actually was, you know, they're going around through their directory trying to find this woman, and I could tell it was probably a wrong number. So here we go, we're trying to figure out the best way to contact her now. So, we have one lady, prospective member, that has been sent back to national, she's through the 250 task force. Remember, we had an AIR, we looked at it, we couldn't see the problem with it. It's like the 7th generation going through the mother, and they're like, well, how do you know that that's the father? And we're like, you know, back when records weren't all that tight and nice and tidy, you know. So we sent that to the task force. They said they couldn't find anything wrong with it. They rewrote the same stuff, and they're hoping that just a different view of the same documents will help. We are actively working on Dear Sweet Connie's. Connie is my personal challenge. And then we've got 2 applications that we signed today on President's Day. I think that is a wonderful way to celebrate it. And we've got 2 other applications that, similar to Connie, how she brought her daughters in, we have got a member who lives in Texas that's got 2 adult daughters that live in Texas, not in the same town, but they want to join the DAR. So we've worked up their applications. It's just a little bit more clumsy when you have to do it through Zoom meetings to see if they've signed it, and emails to, so, that's about all I've got.
It's so exciting, it really is. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Kudos to you. Can you tell us what time would you need somebody on Saturday?
Anytime that they could show up would be great, since I'm gonna be there from sunup to sundown. You know, maybe I could get a break. I don't wanna go to the restroom and walk away from it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I'm hoping that we're gonna be set up next to the SAR and we can work it out, you know, but if you're interested, if anybody's interested, just let me know when, and I'll put down what night.
What time does it start?
I think it's at 9 AM. Yeah. And there's, from what I also understand, I don't know that there's an entry fee. I don't believe there is to that one again, but we're gonna be like at the parking lot. Nice area, which is fine. But what I'm saying is you can actually come to our booth and never even go into the reenactment area if, you know, that's something that appeals to you, or of course, once you're there, if you wanna go check it out, you can too. But it'll be real close to parking.
Thank you so much. We have a report that's not on your agenda, but we're going to have this lady talk to us.
My name is Frederica Lothman, but I feel that I am the ray of happiness today. This is the day before Washington's birthday. Washington is a very important element of Trenton Chapter. We dedicated a monument in honor of Washington's visit. So, actually, I am giving Carrie's report. Carrie is the one who has spearheaded our project to protect and to rededicate our monument. However, Carrie is apparently, who knows, whatever. But happy President's Day tomorrow, George Washington. Also, George Washington was honored in the Augusta Chronicle last week by an old river gets a new bridge. Speaking of George Washington, used it to leave town after his 1791 Augusta visit, which was probably that bridge's finest hour because a flood would sweep it away 5 years later. So, I will now go on with Trenton chapter history, and this is Carrie's report, so I am reading it. In 1791, President George Washington made a grand tour of the southern states he had never visited. After spending 3 days in Augusta, he left early Saturday morning of May 21st, crossing the newly built bridge over the Savannah River on his way to Columbia. His entourage stopped after 25 miles at a stagecoach way station, the Pinewood House, and had breakfast. June 9, 1927, our Trenton chapter, National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, unveiled a stone marker commemorating his historical visit of President George Washington. The Augusta Chronicle, Edgefield Advisor, and Greenville News wrote lengthy news articles about this event. The highway is located near Pine House. It's called the Old Stagecoach Road, which goes from Augusta to Edgefield. In 2020, an application was made to the Historian General's Office of the National Society DAR for permission to rededicate the marker, and approval was received the following month. Hoping to have a ceremony in October, near our chapter anniversary, contact was made with Edgewood Monument Company in Greenwood to do the work. However, COVID-19 detained that possibility. Then DOT stopped it altogether. In the fall of 2020, the stone appeared to have been hit by a vehicle, 3 strikes and we're out. No way. Trenton chapter is here. We looked for a safe place to place the marker. The Pine House would be an excellent spot, but then the house sold. After much discussion with Bettis Rainsford Sr., historian of Edgefield County Historical Society, a good proposition came our way. Saturday, February 13th of this year, Maureen, Carrie, Bettis, and I met at Pine House with Bart and Lisa Hancock, the new owners, who are very excited about having the monument relocated to their property. It is appropriate that the father of our country came through Edgefield County, stopping for breakfast at Trenton. Many of our founding ladies lived and our chapter was chartered there. Rededication of this marker will bring special attention to a most significant event in our country, which happened 230 years ago. He gave our citizens a chance to welcome this most venerated man who had led our new nation in winning its independence. We are hoping to be able to present the chapter with a legal proposition to move the marker from its current location in an island in a very busy intersection to a location on prime wood property, which is thought by many historians to be in front of what was originally the Pine Wood Way Station. So it is very exciting, ladies. We hope the chapter will fully support this project. It's going to go. We will preserve our marker and get it rededicated.
Thank you. Conservation minute. So, coming up in April, on April 22nd, we have Earth Day, which is and then the week after that will be Arbor Day, but now Arbor Day kind of just follows under that same umbrella. I didn't realize when actually looking up stuff on Earth Day, which did a lot of things in school as far as recycling, reduce, reuse, recycle. I did not realize, I lost it. Where is it? The Arbor Day was older than Earth Day, and I found that kind of interesting. Arbor Day actually has been around and went global in the late 1880s, or in the early 1880s. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But Aiken does for Earth Day. This year it will be on April 23rd. There is a website, which is www.earthdayaiken.org. They will be having an Earth Day celebration. The website is not updated yet, with the exception of the date, which will be April 23rd. It's a Saturday, and it said it will be held at Newberry Street Festival Center. Some of the previous events they had were 5Ks. I don't know, do we know if they're still gonna do that, or I don't know. They had 5Ks, hikes in the woods. I had to kind of giggle. that there will be food trucks there, because I'm like, you mean usually gas or diesel trucks, but whatever, it's fun, celebration. Some things that can be done, I still have littles in school, but something you can do with grandchildren is, talking to them about recycling. That's something my girls are really big on. Reusing and upcycling, and something, another meeting I talked to Mary about talking about is clothing. It was something that used to be commonplace, to not just throw clothing away, but to patch it or to find other uses for it. Thankfully, that is coming back around. And I guess making a comeback, especially since so much of our clothing is made of plastic, which is kind of gross. Minimizing our use of the single-use plastics. There is a way though too, like for the Dasani bottle, you can actually cut it in half and start your seedlings in the plastic bottle. So finding another use for them or recycling them when you're done, that's what we do. Plan a trash pickup day. I don't know how many have paid attention, especially around like Powderhouse Road or Hitchcock Parkway. The litter alongside the road is actually pretty disgusting. If they weren't such busy roads, I would plan something with my youngest.
My church picks up on Hitchcock.
Huh?
Our church picks up
Does
on
it?
Hitchcock, so I'm part of it. And it's a big, and you would believe you do the pickup and a week, a few days later, it's just trash all over the place.
And that's not something, I mean, if I actually can remember tossing something out the window, and I had very old-fashioned parents, so I'm pretty sure I got hit with something. It could have just been a hand. There was a hand that reached back, hit me, we stopped the car, and my little butt was made to get out and go pick it up. So, maybe don't take that approach, but my girls do know you don't throw trash out in the car. You can throw apple cores and bananas because the animals will eat it, but. Planting the tree is something, again, Arbor Day and Earth Day, they're only a week apart, but that is something, or even starting little gardens. It's something, if you check into the nurseries, it's also really adorable to get kids involved. I know my oldest, 1 year for school, they got to bring a little tree home. And she was so excited that she could not wait for Dad to come, so she was out there with the shovel and the dog following behind, trying to dig that hole to put her tree, because she wanted to make the earth a better place. Something that can be done around home is things that have been talked about before, turning off electronics and lights. This probably isn't as much of an issue, unless you have kids still in the house, they're really bad about it. Avoid lights during the day if you can, if it's nice and bright out. Using energy efficient products, conserving water as far as turning off the water when you brush your teeth. These were things that had popped up on the site I liked was earthreminder.com. I'm sure you've been on it, but the earthday.org was a little apocalyptic doomsday, and I found it depressing, so I moved on to one that focused on happier things. I was like, this just makes me depressed. But they said like using fans when you don't necessarily need the AC, obviously in the summer. That's a lot to ask when it's 95, but we are like today, it's at that borderline of some people may turn on the AC, maybe don't have to, turn a fan on. Something to do with kids, grandkids, yourself is watch documentaries, buying local in the farmers markets or the local craft stores, local clothing vendors, minimize plastic bag use or recycle them. Stores have a thing now too for plastic bags that you can take them back and they will recycle them for you. Also I found, I didn't know this because I'm still new here to the city, that Aiken is actually, was qualified as a tree city in 1985. That was interesting. We do have some beautiful trees around the area. That is what I found for Earth Day and the activities, and I thought it was nice that Aiken does do something downtown. Of course they do, they have festivals for everything here.
Thank you so much. A lot of good ideas there. Hey, Mary, historian update.
Yep. I actually have a little bit of everything here. If anybody saved cards and wants to turn them in, if they brought them, I'm collecting those to send to the, Hinman DAR school. They're gonna use them for our projects. Also, if anybody has the pull tabs and wants to turn those in, we have, that is kind of like a little recycling project that's going around McDonald House for the families that come and stay when the children are in the hospital. Okay, okay. All right, and, also, if anybody did or wants to do box tops, you can do those on your phone now. You don't have to cut them and put them. You just scan your, register receipts, and it'll go automatically to the, organization that you designate to, and you can designate to the Hinman DAR or other DAR schools. So if you do some of this stuff or cleanups and things, I know there's things on the Parkway, coming up with Keep Bacon County Beautiful. Let us know and get your hours posted too, so that we can take credit for those on our chapter master report, so that all helps. Okay, all right, so now to the history stuff. Susan talked about the Battle of Bacon. There's a lot of different stuff there, so if you've never been, it's very educational. It is a Confederate battlefield reenactment. But there's also, this year, there's a replica, like full-scale replica of the Hundley. If anybody's not familiar with that, it's a combat submarine that was used. So it's a traveling exhibit. So that could be interesting if anybody wants to go see that. That'll be on display. There is a schedule online for the Battle of Bacon. You can look it up. There's different events going on. If you haven't been, there's the reenactment. You can sit along the rail, I guess. You can take blankets, you can bring chairs, and you can stand. So there's different levels. There is an admission fee. Susan's gonna be there on Saturday with her area, the timeline, called the Military Timeline, which is all different organizations, so it's not just the Confederate stuff. I'm actually going on Friday, which is known as School Days, and that's for a lot of the children in classrooms. They bring bus groups in, and there's stations for the children to stop and see different things that were related to the battle. There isn't really a reenactment on Friday. It's more about the education. Okay, and if anybody has questions on it, you can see me after the meeting. Okay, another thing that we're doing is, park conservation, park history is called, coming up, it's on the calendar, Zubley Cemetery Cleanup. Here's a brochure about the Zubley Cemetery. This is in Beach Island, and it's on private property. There's a lot of old graves. It's part of the Swiss settlement that came to the edge of the colony at that time in the late 1600s. There's a brochure on that too, if anybody's interested or anybody likes to go down to the Beach Island Historical Society. They have a lot of good information there too. This cleanup is going to be on March 5th, and that's with the CAR group. Okay, so they're gonna help us, and this is yard work, it's a work day. We're gonna do raking leaves, trimming vines, and cleaning out the cemetery. Okay, so that gets us some,
What was the times for that? I know I like one, for the cleanup, I know.
the cleanup is March 5th.
From,
I think we're gonna meet about, 10 o'clock, something like that. Yeah,
and I was gonna pursue Charlie.
okay, yep. So that'll be something we're gonna do to help them, and the reason that we're doing that, not to just preserve the cemetery and keep it in good shape, but, we also are helping them with a tour that's gonna be at the end of April. I don't know if anybody's ever been to this. It's called the Historic Beach Island Tour. This is a brochure that, when it was canceled in 2020, they haven't printed the new ones yet, but it's different historic sites that are around Beach Island. There's a ticket price for this, $20 in advance, $25 the day of, and then there's a barbecue dinner afterwards that you pay extra for that if you wanna do it. But, the cemetery is one of the tour stops, and you can attend it if you wanna just support them that way. This is a big fundraiser for them. Or if you want to, be a volunteer at one of the locations, just to talk about the place and just be there for when the visitors come by. They're taking volunteers for this as well. So this is local and it's a good thing to support. Okay, one last thing, if you didn't already get it, there's an invitation, and if you didn't get one, let me know. This is for our upcoming marker dedication, it's gonna be April 2nd. These went out on electronic. This is for a DAR marker to be dedicated down in Barnwell. He's a patriot. So we have the program, that we're working on, and everything is pretty much coming together for that, so hopefully people will be able to attend. It's about 45 minutes away. It's not a bad drive, so, hope- yes, it starts at 10:30, and it's in the, Barnwell First Baptist Chapel, okay? It's on Elm Street, and the cemetery is, like a block over and a block down from, where the chapel is. Okay?
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you. We have a lot going on, you can tell, it's wonderful news. We need the approval of the minutes. Kim has sent them out to everyone. Do I have any comments about the minutes, or anyone want to approve them by motion?
I move that we approve the minutes as read.
Sally? Do I have a
Second.
Okay, Sarah. Okay, minutes are approved as presented. Okay, now we have some new business, believe it or not, we have more business. Susan, you have activities for 3 months,
And the calendars are,
and it's, oh yes, I have passed out on the table, you will find a list of events, upcoming events and activities. They're all on here.
as far as, I believe they are, yes.
Okay. So, no more, okay. Linda?
Hi, as many of you know, I am a veteran and a member of the Aiken County Veterans Council. And we discussed at our last meeting the blessing boxes, and I'm so happy to see Jane Page Thompson here because she can fill us in on the history of this and whatever in Aiken. But the request was that if you've ever gone to any of the blessing boxes, a lot of times they're empty. So the council is asking for various veteran service organizations, of which we are one, to adopt a box. There are only a couple in Aiken, and Jane can fill us in on more of them.
67.
But there's also one in Jackson, which on our day of service in October, we did that. We collected all kinds of goodies and delivered them and whatever. But there are two in particular. There's one at the Clyburn Rural Health Center that the Aiken County Veterans Council actually installed, and it's perpetually empty. So we wanted to know if that was something that you would like to do as an ongoing service project. The other thing that I found out through social media, I'm not on social media, but a friend of ours on the council is, and she said that she has witnessed, and it's been on social media, that people just wait until something is in there and then they come and take it all. And I don't know if there's any, and if Jane Page has any kind of suggestions for that. The other thing that was even more distressing was the suggestion was made that when you do put items in the blessing box, you take a black magic marker and mark through the UPC code, because what people are doing is taking the food and products to Kroger and various grocery stores and getting money for it. So, Jane Page?
Again, hi, y'all, I'm Jane Page Thompson. One of my applications just got sent in, so thank you all for that. I did not expect to have to address this issue, but the Blessing Box initiative started out with Melanie and Avenant, myself being realtors who saw housing in Aiken County where people were literally needing help. And so we put the boxes in certain areas within the city limits, Osmond Park, the Library Park, and Perry Park, because of the neighborhoods that needed them. We expanded to Crosland Park, Orangeburg near the Habitat for Humanity facility. The Veterans Council came on because of Lowell Coppert and the Marine Raiders that are also partners with us in that. We put them at Aiken Tech and the Clyburn Center, and then with the help of Rotary Club and the United Way Women's Group, we've expanded 3 other boxes into New Wellington and Aiken. That was the first year and a half. From the last 3 years, we've gone from a goal of having 6 to 12 boxes to actually having to manage about 68 within the Aiken area. That's the city of Aiken going out about 20 miles. And then if you add in Augusta, that puts us at another 22 boxes. If I include the ones we've installed in Bamberg, Allendale, Barnwell, and Jasper, that puts us almost at 100 boxes. We partner with the Low Country Blessing Box Project. You can Google Low Country Blessing Boxes, and a map will pop up of the whole state of South Carolina and the over 1,000 boxes that are being supported across the state. One of the things that the Veterans Council is great about, the guys love to build them, so that's the really good thing. It's hard to keep them maintained and keep them stocked. Any nonprofit organization that steps up and adopts a box, we're happy to provide you with documentation of volunteer potential hours and value of contribution in a letter with our letterhead. Some organizations do require that you have community outreach and you document it, so we will do that for people. As far as blacking out the SKU numbers, we have followed people who did this. We had 2 years ago, I followed people who were going to Edgefield and reselling them in the farmer's market at Edgefield. And what we realized is they were selling them for things that weren't in the boxes that they needed. And what I found out is there's one lady who once a month, she will wait and she will take all the stuff out of a box. And everybody gets so mad when they are the people who just left the stuff in the box and they see it in the rearview mirror. And so people started mocking out the SKU numbers. What they don't realize is that woman is taking those cans to Kroger, she's cashing them in and buying her mother's prescription medicine. We have no idea why somebody needs that box. But the premise of the box is very simple. It was take what you need, leave what you can. And that's where the contract stops. If you can leave something, please leave it because the need is huge. And we have seen people, nurses and teachers and people with regular jobs over the last 2 years, depending on those boxes to make ends meet at the end of the month. So if I had to tell you the most critical time to put something in one of the boxes, is from about the 20th to about the 5th of the 20th of the previous month and the 5th of the current month. Those are the most hard hit times, but we never know what the need someone has. And when that showed up on Facebook about 2 weeks ago, there were 3 of us that sort of tried to find out, and then we followed her to Kroger, and we found out that she was buying her mother's medicine. So it's a hard call to make when you give something. It's giving it with no strings attached and knowing that you're helping a neighbor in whatever possible way you can. And the impact of these boxes has been nationwide and worldwide. We have partner organizations in Germany, England, France, and Italy that put up boxes because of our initiative. So Aiken as a whole, thank you for the Veterans Organization, Rachel with Rotary, any of you who've given to the boxes for any other reason, I appreciate that very much. And Melanie Navinet, myself, and Craig Schenk, who are the directors of the initiative, truly will do whatever we can do to help you all encourage support of the boxes and document your volunteer time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
It's okay.
That information and we need to do this extemporaneously. But thank you also for pointing out that it may not be a nefarious reason that they're doing it. So I will let the council know that. So, but the fact remains, do we want to do this just on an individual basis and then take credit, for, I mean, we're not doing it for credit. We're doing it to help our fellow citizens of Aiken and Aiken County. So I guess I would just leave it at that. Susan?
My question would be is if we do, as a chapter, if we were to adopt a blessing block, blessing blocks, to take, I mean, would we then, would it be on our own to just go put stuff in it, or would somebody collect it and take it, or is there gonna be any kind of organization to it, just?
Any or all. I mean, I would be happy to be the repository and go around and pick things up from people if they, want to do that, or if you want to bring it to our meetings, we could do that. And then, then I could take it and put it in as well, so.
Also be used as a good teaching moment for
actually took my youngest daughter, she is an American Heritage Girls, and they have to do volunteer stuff. And so for kind of it turned out to be a fun day. Susan took Charlie shopping for the blessing box and explained to her what the boxes were, why they were doing it, and I mean, even though we sometimes struggle to make ends meet, our kids have no idea.
Yeah, she told me, why don't they just use the card like my mommy does?
Yeah, yeah, so the idea of there not being like, my kids have never gone hungry. So the idea that there's people that don't always get to eat, like this is a whole other concept, so it could be a very good
It was an experience for me talking to a 5-year-old. What do you think hungry people would want? And her desire to get fresh, I don't know if fresh fruit's really supposed to be in those blessing boxes. So I tried to.
It can roll out fast, as long as it's bananas, apples,
Yeah,
oranges,
that's
yes.
And I told her it had to be stuff that we could set on the shelf for a couple of days,
And can go
you know,
fast, yeah.
yeah. So we did that, but then also, you know, we talked about, well, we need stuff that can be used later. It needs to be easily accessed, you know, like Pop-Tops instead of a.
You mentioned your single-use plastic bags, please put them in the boxes. Those single-use plastic bags become clothing for homeless people, they're luggage for homeless people, and they are their sanitation system. So please use those
So
single-use.
instead of even
and
taking them like back to the stores.
Put them in the blessing boxes, they will be used.
And what is that?
The single-use plastic bags you get at the grocery store. Please put them in the blessing boxes, please.
Well, and if somebody wanted to bring, give us a check or cash, then we could go buy diapers or something like that. I know some of the boxes are very nicely and big. I don't know if all of them could take a box of diapers. The one that Julia and I went to in Jackson certainly did, so we were able to do that, but it's just something for discussion.
Is there,
Big one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a big box.
is there a particular box?
Like things that are, like, I went on the diet, so I have all these, big boxes of cookies. Can I take them and put them in plastic bags? and
I
put them-
encourage people to do that, take stuff and
Okay.
break it up and put it in plastic bags. If somebody's really hungry, they're gonna take that bag. If somebody's worried about their child, they won't, they'll take something that's enclosed. But the other thing is with diapers or, feminine products or toiletry products, we encourage you to break them up into smaller Ziploc bags, so that somebody isn't taking a whole case of diapers. You can help probably 3 or 4 mothers get through a day or 2 if you put 5 or
Good
6
idea.
or 10 diapers in a Ziploc.
Plus you have to have that storage real estate.
Yeah. And if you ever have anything you wanna drop off, or you wanna pick stuff up, or like you said, people wanna give money, they don't know what to do with it. Craig Shenik at Feasters Foods, which is just down on Marlboro Street, he will set you up with a credit card annual payment, and he will deliver to the boxes that we get reports that need to be filled, so, just so you know.
So is your idea to take on a particular, do you have a box in mind?
The Clyburn
Clyburn
Center,
Center.
because it's close and it gets a lot of traffic in and out of there. If you've never been to the Clyburn Center, it's, low cost healthcare.
That's why we did money in our treasury, maybe that's something that we would want to do. Make that donation through that, that'd be something easy and simple.
I hear a lot of positive comments about this. Do you think we need to have a motion that we accept this challenge as a group?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
I would like to, I appreciate that you say that we would accept this challenge as a group, but if we're gonna vote on something, I think it needs to be a little bit more detailed on what that challenge measures out to be. Like, you know, Betty just said, we've got money in the coffers, which I'm not against, but I am against putting all $6,000 into the blessing boxes and worship.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying?
I was thinking
So-
about like something like, $20 or $30 a month.
Right.
You know,
so-
okay, that's what I'm saying, something
So put
measurable before we
something-
vote on it,
Can you
yeah.
put something together that tells us how much you're talking
Right.
about spending?
How about this, we'll keep Clay's in the second, and we'll vote on that not table this, but to expand it further, and I'll come back in April. at
That's
our
great.
meeting in April,
Okay.
and with a detailed, and I'll get together with Jane.
That's a great idea.
Is that correct?
Were you gonna say anything about the Reed's, mobile unit? Reed's and Thompson's stuff?
Go ahead, because the dates.
Okay.
It's July?
Tomorrow.
Oh, it's
Tomorrow.
Okay, Mary?
Yeah, there's a mobile education unit For Reach Across America, it's gonna be in Aiken tomorrow, the Esther Marion chapter coordinated to bring it here. And it's gonna be over by the Gaston Livery Stable, which is near the DMV, I think.
It's actually right
It's
next to
actually-
Veterans Park.
Veterans Park, yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Ironically.
And it'll be there most of the day tomorrow, so if you wanna stop and learn more about Reach Across America, if you're not familiar with it, it's supposed to have some good information about fundraising and stuff like that.
I think it's 9 to 4.
The hours are 9 until 4.
9 to 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I read it, I apologize. Speaking of Veterans Park, I'll give you an update. We did vote a while back to do a tree. There are 32 new trees that have been planted to try and kind of shield the building that's behind the park. And so we're working on a dedication for that. We have, most of the plaques that have been ordered and have been received, we're working on a few more to come. But I will definitely let you know when that ceremony is gonna be, so you know and see that. And they've poured concrete pads, and we're gonna have benches out there now, so it's really gonna try and be spiffed up. And of course, the crowning part, at least from my perspective, is to be able to move the Vietnam Veterans Memorial from where it is now in a very unsafe location to the park.
When?
We're still waiting on South Carolina.
Do we have okay to do that?
No, we don't. It's in the legislature's hands.
It's gonna happen, I mean,
It's gotta happen.
It's just
pretty
a matter
clear.
of time as to when it happens. And speaking of that, since we don't have a meeting in March, the, annual now Vietnam commemoration is March 29th, but that's a Tuesday. So we're gonna do a, ceremony, a brief ceremony at the Lawrence Street, location on Sunday, the 27th at 1 o'clock.
We have it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, 27th Sunday.
Great, thank you, Lynn. You notice the box, the basket up there, rather, and that's our basket that we're going to be taking to our South Carolina conference. And it will be picked up, that basket will be picked up by Connie Spark, who's with Tomasi. And Tomasi will be using this in their annual golf tournament. There'll be a silent auction. And so we've been putting items in there. And if you have anything to put in the box, let me just, it's right over there. If you prefer, you can just put some money in there and I'll buy something to put in there for you. But I think it's a worthwhile. They're excited. I got an email from Connie just today, and I'm going to be at the conference in Peking. I'll take that to the conference and give it to Connie and her. She mentioned Jonathan will be there to collect it, and so on Friday, so I will be there. And speaking of that, I'd like to put a word out about the conference, because I sent a message to everybody. Anybody in this chapter can go. I have some applications for it. You still have time to enroll. We have several members that are going. Kim is going. She's one of our board members, and we have other board members that are going. And Maureen is going to be an alternate in voting. So just think about coming. I'm excited. I've never been to